Um, Hello everyone, welcome to the interactive model validation. My name is Haptamu. I am a PhD student in agricultural economics in the chair of land use economics in the tropics and subtropics at the University of Hohenheim, and I am studying the impact of climate variability on food security of smallholder farmers in Ethiopia. My study focuses on the role of small-scale forestry as an adaptation and mitigation strategy to smallholders. To see the impact of current and future climate scenarios on smallholder farmers' livelihood, we developed a mathematical programming model using MPMAS, and this interactive application is therefore part of my doctoral study and is designed to validate the model with experts. So in this short video I'm going to show you how the interactive model validation is done. I'm going to do one session myself so that you will see it in advance, and it will save you time and effort while doing this interactive validation. So I will start by opening the link that I sent you. This is the link to the online expert feedback survey, and in this survey there is a pop-up page which introduces the interactive model application and which describes the rationale behind the interactive model application, and in addition to that all the steps that you need to do to finalize a session in this interactive validation is explained in this pop-up page. If you watch this video, then there is no need to go through these steps, but you can always read the reason why we need to do this interactive validation. So I will directly proceed to the session by clicking proceed here. And the first thing that we observe when we open this interactive the online expert feedback survey is the background information about the expert. So I will use my name. I will start by filling my name. My name is Haptamu Damilau. My area of expertise is agricultural economist, and my institution is University of Hohenheim, and the highest level of education that I have achieved so far is master's. I have master's in economics, and my year of experience is 6 years. I have worked for 6 years. So you enter your year of experience here. So for once you finalize this background information, then you go to the next tab, which is the validation questions. One thing that you have to know is whatever you put here, it will be observed in below. The moment you enter your feedback, you can see it here. This is mainly important because you can see your results, and then you go back and change something if you want to, for example. So before you finally click on the submit button, anything that you can observe here, and if you want to change anything, then you go back and then change, and then finally submit it. So the next step after the background information is validation questions. So in this question, the important thing is there is another app, the main interactive model application, which we have developed. You can get it by clicking here. So I will open it in a new tab so that I can see both tabs parallelly, the survey questionnaire, which is this one, and then the main interactive model application. So I just would like to say something about this interactive model application. Mainly this application has 4 components. The first one is the information about the farmers. We have 3 types of farmers. We have a worse of or relatively poorer farmer, we have average farmer, and we have better farmer, and we have given information on their endowments of these 3 farmers. And this is the first part of the interactive model this application. and the second part is the input panel. The input panel is where you change the parameters or the values of parameters. For example, these are the parameters that we get from the model. We have 6 parameters in total. The first one is the price of acacia charcoal. The second one is the price of bamboo, and the third one is off-farm capacity, which is work availability as a percentage of the total household labor capacity available in the household. And the fourth one is potato price, a percentage change in potato price, percentage change in F price, and percentage change in wheat price. So this is the place where you change the these prices and percentage changes based on the question that will be asked in this part. So whatever, for example, here it says please change the values in the input panel as follows and answer the questions below. So we have the price of acacia charcoal here, the price of bamboo culm, the off-farm labor availability, and the values are provided underneath. So for example, the price of charcoal per quintal is 0, or it remains unchanged. The percentage change is 0 or it remains unchanged. So we go to here and we put the price of charcoal to be 0, like this. So it will be like this, and we do the same for all the parameters that we have. And finally we click run. When we click run, it means that we have applied the changes that we have done in the input panel, and in each run we will have a result which will be displayed in the output panel, which is the fourth part of the interactive model application. We have several outputs. We have output on land use of these three farmers, which we call them agents in MPMAS. We have output on their total revenue, the revenue that they get from perennials, crops, livestock products, or farm income, and separately the income that they get from crops, and how much amount of money that they are getting from which crops. And the same we have the same graph for livestock, perennials, and as well as off-farm activities. And the last is the last part in the interactive model validation is the part where you if you want to go back to the survey, then you just click this and it will redirect you to the survey. But since you have opened already the two tabs parallelly, then you don't need this one you don't need to click this one and then go back. Now let's do the questions. So the first one says please change the values of the input panel as follows and answer the following questions. So we change the price of acacia to 0, the price of bamboo culm to the price of acacia to 0, the price of bamboo culm is already 0. Off-farm labor availability is at 10%, which is at 10% at the moment, and we have price of potatoes, price of teff, and price of wheat, all of which are at 0. This is the baseline scenario. Everything remains unchanged, and the minimum off-farm level availability, or the capacity that the off-farm capacity is 10%. In other words, households can do 10% of their excess labor from on-farm activities into off-farm activities. So this is the baseline, and the question behind this is to see what the model looks like in the baseline scenario. So we have changed everything, and then we run the model after we change the sliders here. So we go back to the question, and the question says, do you think the total sales revenue of farmers is overestimated, underestimated, or well fitted by the model? So and please check the graph under the total revenue tab in the output panel to answer this question. So the question is whether the total sales revenue obtained by each farmer is overestimated or underestimated. So it shows which tab from the output panel to look to. So it is the total revenue tab. So we go to the total revenue tab, and then we see the share of the total revenue obtained from each sector. The revenue obtained from perennials, the revenue obtained from crops, the revenue obtained from livestock products, and the revenue obtained from farm income. So you see the values here, and what we would like to know from experts at this point is to give us their opinion or their perception whether some of the values that they see here are overestimated or underestimated, or whether they think that this is a good fit of what they think could happen in reality. So we need experts' perception. Experts might not know exactly what's happening in the study area, but they have at a glance they have a general understanding of what's wrong and what's right in the context of Ethiopia. So that's what we are trying to accomplish here. So to answer the first question, then we go to the total revenue tab and see whether the revenue that they get, the total revenue, for example, this is 200,000, and it looks like the price of livestock is a bit higher than the price. I mean the revenue from livestock it looks like relatively higher than the revenue from other sectors. So what we would expect from experts here is to show us to tell us whether it's overestimated, or the total revenue whether it's overestimated or underestimated. So for example, if they say that it is overestimated, then they click overestimated, then they are done with this question. And with the second question says, in the same setting, so we are not going to change anything. In the same setting, do you think the land use mix of the model is practically applicable? Please check the graph under the land use tab in the output panel to answer this question. So now the question is whether the expert thinks the land use mix or the land use plans shown in the land use tab in the output panel is practically applicable or more realistic. And we are asked to see the land use tab in the output panel to answer our question. So we go to the land use tab here, and we see the different. So the first I would like to mention something. The need to have 3 different type of farmers here is just for you to compare how the result would differ for different type of farmers. Otherwise it's the same. This is just so that otherwise one farmer would have sufficed, but this is just to show you some heterogeneity, so that you could have a better judgment on the questions that we ask. So the second question that we asked is to judge whether the plants, the cropping plants here, the things that they have planted are more realistic or more practically applicable. So we see, for example, we see the colors here, and we refer the colors. So most of the colors here are the ones cropped with perennials, intercropped with perennials. We have bamboo with mainly bamboo with annual crops. So if you think this is more realistic, you just see all of the land uses by each agent, and then judge whether this could happen in a reality, or whether this is inclined towards perennials, or whether this is too much potato, or whether this is too much bamboo or acacia decrans. So for example, your opinion could be this is applicable or non-applicable. Just click your answer, and then if you have comments On these questions, then you just write whatever your comment is. Then you just write your comment here. It could be a question, or it could be any impression that you have on the model or on the results. So, and then we go to the next question. The next question, now we have to change something else. There is something that is going to change in the slider panel, and this except for the price of wheat, the rest remains the same. So whatever changes, we have put it in red and bold. So in keeping other things constant, the price of wheat increases by 50%. And then we ask different questions, and we refer to which output to see to observe the results, and then you answer your question. So and the next question, instead of 1, we changed 2. We changed the price of potatoes and the price of wheat. So you come here and you increase the price of potato and the price of wheat by 50%, and then you run the model, and then you observe the results. For example, in this case, the results change. Now the agents are only growing wheat and potatoes, so they are no more growing perennials such as bamboo or acacia decurrens. So we ask questions about these changes in this in the subsequent questions. So you fill your answers, whether it's a good fit or whether it's underestimated or whether it's overestimated, and we would like you to see it very critically. And then after you finish this, you write your comment or questions in each section, because we have a space where you can write your comment in each section, and you can write anything that you want, you would like to ask, or you would like to comment on in this comment section. And so after you fill all the questions and answer all the questions, then you can also see that all the questions that until this point have been answered. So now you finish this tab, and the next tab that you are going to go is the Turing test. For the Turing test, for this tab, you don't need to go to the interactive model validation. So the use of the interactive model validation at this point is over. So in this Turing test, what you do is we have six farmer types. That's farmer type 1, farmer type 2, farmer type 3, farmer type 4, farmer type 5, and farmer type 6. And for each farmer type, we provide a profile. In other words, farmer type 1 means a farmer which has a household member of 2 adults and 2 children, which have a farm size of 5 hectares, which have a livestock of 1 cow, 1 oxen, and 2 sheep, and which have a perennials or standing trees of 0.5 hectares of acacia decurrens and 0.125 hectares of bamboo. So this is what describes farmer type 1. So the question here is, we have 6 results for each farmer type. We have 6 results, and from these 6 results, 5 of the results are from the model, and 1 of these is is an actual farmer. We have a data on actual farmers, and we have used the data that we obtained in the field to simulate some results, and we run several scenarios which includes the spectrum of variation in the major parameters, and we run the model. So the idea is, from these 6 options, one of the activities here is done by the actual farmer. So the question is to identify which of these 6 options is the actual farmer. It could be related because the model is simulated from the data obtained from the farmer. So from the 6 alternatives, you are asked to identify which one of these 6 options is the real farmer. The other 5 are from the model. The other 5 are simulated from the model. This will enable us to know the goodness of fit of the model. So please try to be as critical as possible while answering these questions, because it could be misleading, and since we are going to use the results from your feedback as a benchmark for our model validation and the goodness of fit of the model. And we do the same. So the first farmer type is the large farm size farmer type. This is relatively this is a farmer which has relatively larger farm size. The other one is with a larger labor capacity, which have a relatively larger labor capacity than others. And the other one is with larger TLU, which have larger endowments of livestock. And the same is true for tree perennials, which have a higher holding of standing trees. And generally we have 2 more options, which is a very poor farmer and a relatively better off farmer. Very poor farmer and relatively rich farmer, if you wish. So for each, what the point of this Turing test is, and the point of classifying the Turing test between different farmer types, is to see if there is a particular flaw in some parts of the model. That's why we classify them based on farm types. So we expect you to critically analyze the results or the options provided, and select your choice, one of these choices that you believe is the actual farmer, and you answer all of the questions. I'm just randomly selecting. This is not the right answer, but I'm just randomly selecting so that I could proceed to the next step. That's actually the final step. So if you finish this one, then the table below shows that you have completely filled all the questions. The farmer 6 here is the last question. If it's filled, then that's the last question that's in the survey. And the last part in this online expert feedback survey is the submitting the survey. So since now you can see your response here in this tab. This is the response that we will receive in our database when you submit the survey. And finally you submit the survey, and then if you get this thank you message, then that means you have successfully completed. If you are not able to submit, for example, if you get something like this, that means you have not filled something in the questions that you are supposed to fill. So you should go back and fill the questions and finally submit it. So when you submit, we get the data in our database, and we will analyze the data from everybody, and we will incorporate the results into. So see, if you see here, I have already received the result in my Dropbox. So this is, and we will collect the results from everybody, and we are going to make summaries, and we are going to use that to substantiate our argument in the model. If there is something that we have to improve in the model based on your feedback, then we go back, improve the model, and then proceed to do simulation experiments. So this is all I have. If you have any questions, I have my email integrated in this app as well, and in the main interactive model application. You can write me at any time, and thank you very much for your time and effort, and thank you for being a part of this interactive model validation. Thank you.